So what is an empowered feminine leader?
You know, an empowered feminine leader is a woman who really is in integrity, first and foremost with herself, and secondly with others. And she's a woman of great strength and compassion. She's a woman who is consistently tending to her own shadow work. And by shadow, I'm some people will know what that means and some won't, but I'm talking about the things that we cannot see within ourselves. And there are ways that we can get the reflections from other people and how we respond to other people about those shadows. And there are ways we can dig into that work on our own. But that work is really critical to being able to be an empowered feminine leader in today's world. I would say she's a woman who's mastered her fears and is standing in her truth and is able to speak her truth from the depths of her being.
Like, in other words, being able to say what she feels without fear of rejection or people pleasing or any of that, which is
exactly.
So many women are caught up in that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's just how we're trained. It's how we're taught. It's what we're taught in school. It's what we're taught by our families, how to be. It's to be pleasers. It's to be aware and concerned about how everyone else judges us. But part of being an empowered feminine leader is knowing you're going to be judged and not worrying about it, not caring about it, because you're going to get judged.
Or you know what? Or you might, I'm sorry, don't mean to interrupt you. You might not get judged. You might get a lot of respect. I just had to set a boundary yesterday in front of 3 other women. The other woman was like, one woman, when I was doing it, was like, oh, because I did it in such a heart-centered way. The other woman texted me later and said, thank you for having the courage to speak your truth. And I think that's what it takes, is courage. And you gain a lot of respect when you do it the right way. We just have not learned how to do it the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so part of being an empowered feminine leader is the willingness to get up and speak in front of people. That's really what leadership, a big part of what leadership is. And I don't know if you've ever noticed this before, but check yourself. When you're watching someone who's in the front of the room, are you judging? Of course you're judging. Yeah. Look at that outfit she's wearing. How can she get away without wearing pantyhose? It's all there. We're human.
Right.
So we've got to be comfortable with these kind of judgments coming towards us and not even worry about them. They're just natural human behavior. Yeah. So of course the respect is there, the admiration is there, and the judgment is there. And so a big piece of it is being able to not get hooked into that, what your thoughts or projections about what that judgment is.
Yeah, or get pulled under through it. Really get pulled under through it, because it's all constructs of the mind. And what the divine feminine is all about is being in the beauty, the grace, and the wisdom of your body. And so when you've experienced that, then the mind doesn't have any validity.
Yes.
For the most part.
Yes, absolutely. So there's got to be a balance, but this embodiment piece is another aspect of empowered feminine leadership. The embodiment piece is I think it's one of the most critical pieces of personal growth right now, along with sexual healing, that's missing for people on spiritual and personal growth paths. And there are more and more that are coming into this realm of embodiment, especially the movement arts are all about embodiment. But the sexual healing piece, that's really on the outer edges, and that's really the big missing piece, I think. And
it's the fastest path. You get there.
It is a very fast path.
Most efficiently,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I wanted to ask you, why do you think it's really important, especially now that we have empowered feminine leaders?
Why do I think what's important?
That now, at this time in our life,
got it. Why are they needed now?
Yeah.
Okay,
more than ever. Yeah.
Oh yeah, more than ever. Well, I think a big piece of it has to do with how the last few years with the Me Too movement and everything else that's flowed from that is all so much sexual shadow is rising to the surface. And that can look really scary and feel really scary, but honestly, it's a wonderful thing because it means that there's an opportunity to heal and integrate this sexual shadow. However, people don't know how to do that on their own.
Right.
So this is where empowered feminine leaders who have done their own work come in and can hold space for people who need support around this, whether they're victims or perpetrators or some of each, which we all have some of both. Yeah. So that's definitely a big piece of it, the sexual shadow emerging.
Yeah, and so it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. It's just like you said, people need to know how to deal with it, what to do with it, so that it doesn't come back in and just rule our lives, so that we can really bring it to the light. I mean, I remember in our certification program, really the ultimate thing was the amazing things that happened to me personally when I shined light on the deepest, darkest aspects of myself, which really was my sexual shame, having been raised Catholic, you know?
Yes.
So really, how can a woman how can a woman really prepare herself? What's the key component to really preparing herself to become an empowered leader? And I call them leaders of love, actually, is what I call them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the first thing to do, I think, is to get clear on what it is that you want. What is your vision? What's your big vision for yourself, for your life, and for the planet? To get that clarity on how it is you want to show up as a leader and why. Because if you don't know your why, then there's really not a clear path forward. So once you know your why and what your big vision is, and as you dream and feel into that big vision, this is not a time to let your mind restrict things. Oh, that's not possible, or that's never going to happen, or there's just no way. So instead we ask questions. Well, what else is possible? What's possible? What can I dream up? And when you can dream up a big vision, then you have clarity and a way forward. So I see this time right now as a time between worlds. It's a time when everything seems like just utter chaos on the planet, politically, environmentally, and in so many different ways, spiritually. And yet, we know there's a new world coming. We know there's a new way of being that's coming. We feel it, especially if we're tuned into the new energies that are coming into the planet, especially divine feminine energies. So there's this between time, which is an excellent time to be preparing yourself, to be prepared for when that new world begins to emerge and the leaders are needed more than ever.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I love the article that you wrote, about that being in the in-between worlds. Now is the time to prepare ourselves to be that new woman, that empowered feminine leader. There's a couple of things I want to say to that, Amrita. Number one, the article you wrote is on my website. So all you have to do is go to my blogs, and I can put the link below, but it's, you can search Amrita Grace, and you'll find the article. Thank you for writing that. I love being able to share that on my blog. And then the other thing is, a lot of women say, I don't know what I'm here for. I'm frustrated. I feel stuck. I feel stuck in my life. I still feel stuck in my relationship. And really, it's through some of these offerings that I give and some of the offerings that you give that really help women get connected to, really ultimately connected to their bodies, but ultimately to their yonis. Because again, when you shine a light on your yoni and you give her love and respect and honor, she pops out with a big voice. And all of a sudden she's like, yes, this is what I'm here for. Everything becomes clear. Everything becomes much more inspired and joyful and playful. And it's amazing how, and that's what I feel. I feel like, like your intensive, your retreats, and then the certification program. If a woman really doesn't know what she's here for, that would be a good path for her to really discover that, especially your beginning courses all the way through to the certification and then the intense retreat. So I guess that's where I want to lead next is,